Giving is the middle point of the 3 points to really develop economic way. Number one is a revelation from God. All big businesses, enterprises, all big business enterprises start with an idea from God, a word from God. If there is no word, you will be frustrated, you will just struggle. You will just be praying one day, you just say, air. You are going to have a big air industry. You will just start with just making hair for people. Before you just that, you discover how to treat your hair. Before you say Jack, you are going to be a head of conglomerate. KFC started with a Christian man who yielded his life to Jesus at age 67. I handed it over to God. I said, please, God, I've failed a lot in my life. I don't want to fail. I yield this business to you. He started by just frying chicken. KFC is everywhere. The man was a Christian. At age 67, he said, I've committed so many sins, but I've repented now. I was listening to his story. Ford, all of them. Ford was giving God 90% tithe at a time. Henry Ford. From his motor manufacturing, look at the motor manufacturing company of Ford everywhere. Many universities, Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford, were started as Bible schools. They were handed over to God. They had the biggest names of all the universities on earth. They were started as Bible schools. Go and check them out. They were started as Bible schools. They didn't just start as university. They were started as Bible schools, not for money, to teach people about God. Then they began to add mathematics, add everything. Yes. When God starts a thing, even if you forsake him, you will still find many projections of his hand in it. Later on in life. So don't forget the things about giving. It must be ultimate yielding first. It is yielding before giving. Some people give food to their husband without loving the husband. That's no food. That's poison. That's why the Bible says, when you sit down with the rich and they prepare dainty meat before you, Proverbs 23, it says, if you're a man giving to appetite, put knife in your throat. People could be offering you something and they have something at the back. God does not receive anything you give that has not been yielded. Yielding it of the heart. This guy that gave me this, I took it because I know it's totally from my heart. There are some people who will find a way of bringing it back to them, say, yes, thank you. Because we know that one day later they will tell, I know how much I've given to him, but yet it doesn't give me any position in the church. You can never get any position. The more you give, the more pruning out, because you are now fruitful, pruning out started. This guy went home on Sunday with saying, Pastor, you are making me uncomfortable. I said, okay. Because as soon as he came to the church, I just look at her. So you have done your rhapsody of reality to do ministerial outreach, whether we'll be able to catch a fish. Isn't it? Very I just went to her in the presence of everybody. She went home saying, I'm feeling uncomfortable. The following day, I said, how are you now? I said, we are okay. Yes. Because you are profitable for God, it will prune you. That's what I was talking to you yesterday, isn't it? That don't run away from the midst of people. Don't run away from being the center of attention. Because you can actually not gain many things in this church if you are not being talked to. It doesn't mean we just come on you. It just I don't want him to come to me. I'm not a Rottweiler. But when it is time to come hard, yes. He said, of all the families on the earth, only you have I loved, but you are the most stiff-necked. Therefore will I punish you for your sins. That's what God said to Israel. But the last thing, don't tempt the Lord thy God. Look at it. Chapter 23 of Acts. From verse 1. And Paul, earnestly beholding the council, said, men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before God unto this day. And the high priest Ananias commanded that them that stood by should smite him on the mouth. Then said Paul unto him, God shall smite thee, thou white-headed whore, for seeded thou to judge me after the law, and commanded me to be smitten contrary to the law. And they that stood by said, revilest thou God high priest? Then said Paul, I wish not, brothers and sisters, that he was the high priest. For it is written, thou shalt not speak evil of the ruler of the people. But when Paul perceived that the one part was Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council, men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Of the hope and resurrection of the dead I am called in question. And when he had so said, there arose a dissension between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the multitude was divided. For the Sadducees say there is no resurrection, neither angel nor spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. And there arose a great cry, and the scribes that were of the Pharisees' part arose and spoke, saying, we find no evil in this man, but if a spirit or an angel has spoken to him, let us not fight against God. And there arose a great dissension. The chief captain, fearing lest Paul should have been pulled in pieces of them, commanded the soldier to go down and take him by force from among them and bring him to the castle. And the night following, the Lord stood by him and said, be of good cheer, Paul, as you have testified of me in Jerusalem, so you must bear witness of me also at Rome. Paul was a versatile businessman when it comes to the representation of Jesus Christ. See, you had a revelation from heaven. You are committed to giving. If you are not versatile, you are tempting the Lord thy God. You will just discover that you are giving so much, you have so much revelation, you are giving so much, and yet you are not economically developed. It is what your hands do, that God prospers, to the extent to which you do them. You can give 1 million euros to God and never experience 100,000 all your lifetime. You stay in the church, you pray. You give every time. You give, expecting, and you are not expecting and expecting. Chapter 22, verse 29. I can teach this forever, of Proverbs. See, this thing is not on here. They don't, all the things have been written, they have not been putting them here. Seest thou a man diligent in his business? He shall stand before kings and not before me men. See, if you are a giver and you are not diligent, you do not create rooms for God to be able to flow through. God will have to flow through your diligence to give you the reward of your giving. There are many people that all their lives, don't worry now because I'll soon finish. There are many people that all their life they have given. Only when they get to heaven, they will discover how big they are. But here on earth, their life is so meager and tight. Prospering in this life requires that in your spirit, soul, and body, versatilities are developed. You are not hearing what I'm saying. You must be versatile spiritually to know how to engage spiritual warfare. You can give to God, God send you reward, and devils stop it. If you don't pray, Kalida Sakaka Iliponadi, you stand up in the Topila, Sefakatakata, and you groan here, you roar, Have you seen this young lady, highly anointed, and no easy prayer? First, the government of the nation made her the chairman of the civil service. I know you don't know the meaning of that. The state of Abia, I think, is larger than the whole of Ireland. Maybe they're about 10 million or more. She's the head of the civil service. This last week, a federal university in Nigeria, Federal University of Technology, made her the pro-chancellor and chairman of the university. That's a lot of money. And it means that, because she just finished her PhD, it means that she's so versatile that she could be in charge of those things. Otherwise, the outcry from Nigeria will have killed her. See, every Thursday, men, women of fire, In the middle of the night, she's studying. That is like Daniel. This is so serious. This is getting serious. Are you thinking about this or not? No, let me say what I'm about to say. Are you listening to what I'm? So you must develop versatility in the spirit. You must develop how to study. You must develop how to pray. You must develop because no devil is joking. The devils are all ugly. They are not joking. They will make you receive revelation from God if you break through to that level. They will allow you to give, but the reward of it will not come, so that your life can be a frustration that is an example to others to stop. So that people will through you know that God is not faithful. God forbid. You pray, there is no position you are that the devil does not want to chase you off. They want to sack you without no killer, zata, pillar, oli kata 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 kata, zokelaka, hipiladidasa, parada kata kata. Let your prayer grow like Daniel. 3 hours a day is the minimum. Because with 3 hours a day, you will have given your tithe and offering of the whole day, because it's 24 hours. It has to be 2 hours 40 minutes to be tithe. It has to be 2 hours 60 minutes to be tithe and offering. That's the one we come here early, about 2 hours in the morning. Top it up with another 1 hour. You will really prosper. In your soul also, you must develop versatility. You are not strangulated to just being a medical doctor as a medical doctor. But I'm talking medical doctor because most medical doctor is the greatest problem of their life. They are not diversified. They just believe as soon as we finish, we have a work. And many of the time, they don't really prosper. They have money to eat and drink. They don't, because they are not diverse. They are not an expert in other field. They are just an expert in one field. Paul was so diverse, they wanted to beat him. He said, I'm a Roman. They stopped. He got to an assembly. He looked at them, Pharisees, Sadducees, say, I'm a Pharisee. At least I've not renounced my members. Pastor David, I am a doctor. The day, in case it is needed. It's not every day that is needed, because they will say you are proud. But I've earned doctorate in ministry. Yeah. And it's well glazed in my office. I know some of you are so blind you can't see it. But it's there for you to see. I deliberately put it so that you can know. He's a doctor in ministry, and by the favor of God and hard work over the course of the 32 years. I am a reverend. I am a pastor. I am a life coach, and I'm an education scientist. I am a strategist. It depends on which one you want part-time. You need reference. I am here. The powerhouse is a company. The powerhouse is a church. The powerhouse is a charitable organization. It's all registered in all these areas. Tax is paid as at when due. I look into this country very well. When I started, I say, the church has to be a company. Because of the day it needs to create its own real estate. It's part of the referendum that I gave to the government. Real estate development, aviation industry development. All of those things are there. In case God wants us to diversify into so many things, you must create diversity, not just kata. People, Pastor Jerry say, I teach in a university, theological university in the Caribbean. Even as I'm doing all this, he said, I teach. Joshua Selman went to Alpha to go and deliver lectures. It is today I was hearing. He said, when I got to America, 3 hours to the time I would deliver lecture, my computer began to update itself, and all my messages were lost. He said, I only had 3 hours to develop another one. He said, I develop all the things you see me say. I developed them in 3 hours. He was in his spirit already. Versatility must be developed.